is the following in some examples. It is what I call the suspense of sublime. Is sublime what falls, learns, relapses, declines, less with what falls less quickly than we do we, the heavy ones, the ponderous ones. Sublime, the thing that, or the being that holds on its fall, or a moment, for a moment more. I look at the dancer or at the acrobat and see them as slowing down, restraining, breaking its fall, its perishing movement. So that's why I wrote less quickly than we. Because why, after all, do we admire the dancer? It seems not to retomber, remains in sort of suspension before the relapse. Sublime in stone, the Roman, so I look, for example, the Roman fountain, and I remember a beautiful short poem by Konrad Ferdinand Meyer, which was commented by Heidegger, I don't remember, maybe in Kunstwerk, to la fontaine, and when the water falls, and the water is retained by the basin, and up and falls again, in despite of this retenue. Or the stones, the stairs at Versailles, which goes down and up for opening out into the void sky. Sublime in music, the Adagio third movement of the Hammerklavier Sonate 106 Beethoven, which rises, comes up, or goes up again in the coming down again, and the reverse. Or the Gregorian song, or the popular complaints, Mélopée, and so on and so on. In the poem itself, formally considered, it could be that we call, and I expect you give me the term, le contre-rejet. How do you say contre-rejet, please? Le contre-rejet. When the verse is not finished, you have a rejet. But when the phrase of the second verse comes up in the precedent, you have a contre-rejet. Genre, contre-rejet. Ça n'existe pas?
No, c'est l'enjambement.
Non, oui, l'enjambement, et le contraire, c'est le contre-rejet.
C'est un enjambement à l'envers.
Voilà. C'est un enjambement à l'envers. C'est ça, non? Oui, voilà, très bien. Le contraire. So, you see the search for examples that in every, the sublime in, like when André Breton disait la beauté en carton, au piano, voilà, ou le surréalisme. Le sublime, en quoi consiste le sublime? Donc, this movement of restraining and breaking the perishing movement, dégravir. I remember a book of poems by Jacques Dupin, dégravir. Voilà. And maybe the best example could be taken out of the feu d'artifice. What is the feu d'artifice? Fireworks. Thank you. Because you have thousands of people looking at the fireworks, it's exactly why? Why, after all? Because the fire and the light monte en descendant et descend en montant, if I may contract these two movements in one. Bon. This delaying of the scalaire running down. It has to do with the paradoxical mode of searching truth. The precious way of poetic thought is preciosity, as it was named in the time of Agudeza and Concetti, consists in oxymoron that endure, or that is to endure the tearing apart of what is to be thought. I remember Rainer Schurman's book, The Broken Hegemony, contradictions, and to invent in the mixture of the confused contradictions everywhere. That's what Nathaniel Town, another English-American poet who lives in Albuquerque, named in a splendid book, the beautiful contradictions. I like this title, except the fact that I prefer to name, because contradiction would be reserved to the confusion of the contradiction, and I prefer in French the contrariété. So I prefer to name the originals and the irreductibles thwart. I don't know how to pronounce THWART, it's impossible. The thwarting of being for us today. Other proposition. Rhythm is the beating pulsation of the border, of the limit on the threshold between the inside, an inside and an outside, in order that something, some being, may or could be received, welcomed. That means interiorized and exteriorized, given outside, received and given, re-given. Alors, that way of thinking, I tried to say something like that yesterday in the class about the rhythm. That's the reason why I try to reformulate this matter of the threshold, the door. This way of thinking, which is no argument, reverses the usual reasoning argumentation. It does not start from the well-known or supposedly well-known inside, known by introspection or something of the kind, toward au profit de, for the privilege of, and understanding, well-known inside toward an understanding or deducing of rhythm, but in the opposite or reverse, from the threshold, the beating of the door itself, or the giving empiric situation of a difference between entering and going out, in a sort of fable or one could say image for the scheme of interiority. So one cannot give away the difference between interiority and exteriority. So I try to start in this way of, let's say, poetic thinking, from the fact there is no inside, neither inside nor outside, without a threshold where, that means a door which is essentially a beating door. So it could be open and closed. That's the rhythm in general. And that would be my last proposition. The parabolic. I used this word in the class the first day. Now I try something with the parabolic. The symbolic in general has to be recollected in parabolic, in a generalized writing, écriture généralisée, to which this, the plural, les écritures, generally written with the E majuscule, would be convenient if we minusculate in a small letter the initial E. In other terms, by profanation, I don't even know if the profanation exists in English, secularization, desecrating of the writing. The goal being the getting out, or the going out of the mythical. So it's the old affair or problem of mythologisierung. I tried in a new way to replace that now, and I use the verb parabolic, looking for a generalized writing who gathers the different kind of writing, could gather, without maybe erasing the differences, but gathering, a writing which writes what I could call maybe trying to translate exactly an expression of Marcel Gauchet, sortie du religieux. Sortie du religieux, a writing which writes or tries to write the issue out of the religious,